Welcome to Engage Math, Lesson 15, Problem 3. And we are continuing our work with exponents, and we're going to make sure that all of our final answers only have positive exponents. So all of the formulas that you need, all of the exponent rules that you need to follow are on the back inside cover of your book. So if you're confused about any of the different exponent rules, you can use that as a reference. Let's get started, and I'm going to zoom in so you can carefully see each of these problems. So let's start with problem A. So because it's division, when we're dividing with fractions, as a friendly reminder, what we do is we keep the first fraction, so negative 6j to the second over 2k to the eighth. So we keep the first fraction, we change division to multiplication, and then we flip the second fraction. So we have 18j over j. Okay. So we have changed that division problem into a multiplication problem, which makes it much easier. So now I'm going to just start simplifying a little bit. J over j right here is basically j to the first over j to the first. So we can use our exponent rule of 1 minus 1, because the exponent here is 1, the exponent here is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. We subtract those exponents and we just get j to the 0, which we know is 1. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cancel out those j's, because j over j is just 1. Done. Okay, now let's look at what we have left. Negative 6 over 2. Remember, those are not exponents. The negative 6 and 2 are coefficients, so we don't subtract them like we do with exponents. What we do is we just simplify that as we always have. Negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. That takes care of the negative 6 and 2. Then we have times, and remember, we still have an 18 in the numerator, and we still have a j squared. Okay, so that takes care of the 18 and the j squared, and then it's over k to the eighth. And now we simply have to multiply the negative 3 and the 18 together. So we're going to get negative 54 j to the second over k to the eighth. Nothing else we can simplify. We're done. Okay, let's go now to problem B on this same lesson. And at this point, we have a parentheses, and everything in the parentheses is getting raised to the third power. So a lot of times students will call this distribution, but distribution is if you're multiplying a number through a parentheses with more than one term. So here what we're going to do is we're going to basically just say we have negative 2 to the third power. So I'm going to just write it like this for right now. I'm going to keep that negative in there, negative 2 to the third. And then the exponent on both the x and the y is a 1, even though it's not written. So we're going to get x to the third, y to the third, times 3xy. And then when we multiply fractions, we just multiply right across. And so I'm just going to leave this for right now as 5y to the fourth, and then an x right here. Now let's simplify a little bit. We know, I'm going to change the color just so you can see the different steps. Negative 2 to the third means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So that's going to be a negative 8. But this negative 8 has to multiply the 3. So I'm going to write it as negative 24, because this is negative 8 and this is times 3 is negative 24. Okay, then we have x to the third times x to the first. So this x to the third times this x to the first, we add the exponents and we get x to the fourth. And then we have y to the third times y to the first, which is y to the 3 plus 1, or y to the fourth. In the denominator, we have 4. I like to put the variables in alphabetical order when it's easy. So I'm going to write it as 4x y to the fourth. One reason it helps to have them in alphabetical order is it's easier now to see what simplifies. So I'm going to change our color again. The y to the fourth over y to the fourth is just 1. That cancels. X to the fourth over x to the first, because there's a 1 on this x right here, we subtract those exponents. So that's going to give us x to the third. And then that takes care of that. And negative 24 over 4 is just reducing that, or you could think of it as dividing. Negative 24 by 4 is negative 6. So our final answer here is negative 6x to the third. Okay, let's move on to C. All right, so now we're going to zoom in on problem C. And when we raise a quantity to an exponent, we actually multiply those exponents. So we're going to get x to the 14th. And as you'll see in the back of your workbook, the z to the second also has to get raised to the second power. So what we have now is x to the 14th over z, and we multiply 2 times 2 and get 4. So now that we have that, we're going to now take the z to the fourth over the 3x, and we're multiplying. Okay, so at this point, what's really nice is the z to the fourth right here and this z to the fourth will cancel and just give us 1. So all we have to do now is think of x to the 14th over x. Even though it's not written, we know there's a 1 there. So we subtract those exponents and we get x to the 13th over 3. And we're done. That's our final answer. All right, let's go to problem D. All right, this is a light bulb, so it's going to be a little challenging, but let's try it. So we're going to start by saying that everything in this parentheses has to get raised to the second power. So negative 3 to the second is a positive 9 because it's negative 3 times negative 3. A to the second, B to the second, and the C to the fifth times the raised to the second power means 5 times 2. So we're going to get c to the 10th. And I'm just going to jump right into this one. In the denominator, we have a to the 3 times 2, which is a to the 6th. B to the second, c to the second. Okay, so we're going to keep that first fraction as it was. We're going to change to multiplication, and we're going to flip the second fraction there. So it's a to the fourth b over 3b. Okay, we're getting there. So we have done our keep change flip because of the dividing, and then we've raised everything in that first parentheses to the second power. So that's a good head start. Now let's combine some of our factors together and see what we can do. One thing, there's lots of ways, by the way, that you can approach this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say, let's cancel the b over the b. That's just 1. B squared over b squared, that's just 1. So now what we have is in our numerator, we simply have 9a, that takes care of the 9, a to the second times a to the fourth is a to the sixth because we add those exponents, c to the 10th. And then in the denominator, so that takes care of everything up here, in the denominator we have 3a squared, a to the sixth, c squared. That takes care of everything down there. Now we're going to reduce this fraction. So we're going to get 9 over 3 is 3. A to the 6th over a to the 6th cancels. So we don't even have to write it. And c to the 10th over c to the 2nd is c to the 8th. And that is our final answer. All right, I'm going to go back to our original screen so you can see all the answers in one screen. And I'll see you next time here at Engage Math.